We are going to cover the most overrated nutrition things and the most underrated nutrition things. Let's go ahead and jump right in. The first one that's overrated is kombucha. Kombucha is awesome, it tastes good, but let's be real. It does not have that much of a probiotic effect. As a matter of fact, when you look at the research, you can actually see that there really isn't anything backing up kombucha. There is a heck of a lot more research backing up things that are fermented dairy. So kefir, even water kefir, but yogurt, cottage cheese, those kinds of things we actually see scientific literature backing up. That's not to say that something might come out of the woodwork with kombucha, but I think largely it's overrated. You're not doing something crazy for your gut health. You know what's underrated? Consuming soluble fiber. I know it's not sexy, it's not that cool to talk about, but it's very, very real. And the literature is literally like countless. You could go on forever and find countless benefits to adding fiber to your diet, whether it's fatty acid oxidation, glucose metabolism, mental effects, whatever. You're not gonna get that from kombucha. The next thing that's overrated, eat less, move more. You know what that's gonna do? That's going to wind you up with a crashed metabolism. You know what's underrated? Eat more, move more. G-flux, paying attention to energy flux, energy cost, what it takes to actually move a body and fuel a moving body. If you just eat less, move more, simple calories in, calories out without factoring in flux, you're going to be left with a very dismal result. And that is going to be a crashed metabolism, weak, poor recovery. Overrated, light breakfasts. Yep, we got all hot on that a while ago where we thought, okay, this is great. Give yourself a light granola bar or just a little quick sugary yogurt and head out on the road. This isn't anything to do with the sugar, to be fully fair with you. It's about the concept of having something so light in the morning that you're ravenous as the day goes on. And the literature is very, very clear with this. You want to know what's underrated? Having light dinners. It doesn't mean that you don't have dinner. I mean, you certainly can, there's evidence there too, but having a light dinner just means maybe you don't gorge yourself at night, you actually gorge yourself with breakfast. It's a little bit more practical. And the old saying, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper, that makes a lot of sense and a lot of circadian biology, scientific literature to back it up. Overrated, ready to drink protein drinks. I put it there because it's kind of funny. Like, there are so many preservatives, so much crap in these things that you actually don't even get that much protein. Like if you go to Costco and you look at the ready to drink energy drink or the ready to drink protein drinks, the protein content is like 15 grams. That's just not that much. You're getting more flavoring, you're getting more, all these things that have to go into making it shelf stable. Not to mention, they take up a lot of shelf space, they're heavy, so the margins are really slim already for the company, but at the same time, they can't really pass that on to you, so you end up with an expensive product, right? They can't pass on a bigger margin and giving you a good deal at the same time. Like, it doesn't work like that. So they need to squeak by with more and more margin on an already expensive product where their margins are slim. What's underrated? Believe it or not, protein powders. I mean, granted, like, I would much rather you have whole foods. I would much rather you go and eat some eggs, or you go out and eat a chicken breast, or you go out and eat a steak, or if you're plant-based, you go out and get some tempeh or some natto or anything like that that's going to give you a benefit there. That's way better, but underrated are protein powders. Like, you get more bang for your buck with a protein powder than you do a ready-to-drink drink. If you're wondering, the one that I recommend, it always comes up when I do videos like this, so I went ahead and I put a link down below. It's called SunWarrior. They have their active line. It's actually a plant-based protein powder, which is interesting because it comes from a guy that eats meat, but I actually prefer having plant-based protein powders because I get some fiber out of it, I get some different nutritional value, I get some micronutrients out of it. It's a little bit more of a whole food kind of thing for me. So this is a protein powder that's made with pumpkin seed powder, and then it also has digestive enzymes and it has probiotics in it. So really well formulated. They've been a sponsor on this channel for like 5 or 6 years now, so I've stood behind them for a long time. So it's no surprise, not like I'm coming out of left field with this one, but that link down below also gets you 20% off whatever you want from them. Whether it's their hydration, their protein powders, whatever, all down below with that link. You know what else is overrated? The infatuation with the blue zone diets. Look, I've done content surrounding the blue zones. I understand the premise, but I have a flaw. I feel like when we look at blue zones, we're looking at only like a myopic piece of it, when in reality, what makes a blue zone is the all-encompassing holistic aspect of their entire life. They have tremendous relationships. They are active people. They are outside in the sun. I think the diet portion is probably a smaller component. And unfortunately, we get a heavy skew towards saying that, hey, these people eat lots of plants and limited meat. And although that could be true, I think we're putting the cart before the horse, that it's their lifestyle and their lower stress that's probably helping them live longer. You know what's underrated? Longevity outliers. Because longevity outliers drive up averages. When you look at averages and you have some people that are living really long, that's going to drive up an average. But also, why don't we look at the interesting components of the blue zones, not the common denominators? Like, what is it about Japan that's unique? What is it about Costa Rica that's unique? What is it about Greece that's unique? What is it about Sardinia that's unique? What is it about Loma Linda that's unique? When we look at all of these and we find the unique attributes of each of these zones, we can craft a better longevity diet. So let's stop looking at, oh, they all eat X, and start looking at, wow, this region eats X, Y, this region eats A, Z. You get what I'm saying? Look at the outliers. Malcolm Gladwell would be proud. Overrated, daily 16-hour fasts, 16-8 fasting. Yeah, it's overrated because all that is caloric restriction. You're like, wait a minute, Thomas. No, you're turning on me. You're a fasting guy. Hear me out. Daily 16-8 is overrated. It is just caloric restriction. You are going to run your metabolism into the ground, and it's going to be a problem. That's why I've talked about that for the last couple of years, but unfortunately, good old algorithms don't always help us out here, so not everyone sees that content. You know what's underrated? Occasionally fasting for longer periods of time, like maybe an 18-hour fast 2 days a week, or maybe a 24-hour fast once a week. Why? Because it's not about the caloric restriction, it's about getting different benefits from abstaining from food. Maybe it's autophagy, sure. Maybe it's the element of mental mastery, could definitely be that. Maybe it's stem cells, maybe it's whatever, right? Maybe it's circadian biology, maybe it is caloric deficit, who knows, right? It's all a bunch of different stuff that we could collectively put together, but one thing stands true, it's a hormetic stressor, and fasting should be a stressor. And if we view it as that, then what good is doing a 16-hour fast every day doing us? It's no longer a stressor, it's normal. Fasting should be your hormetic stressor, so you adapt from said stressor. Overrated, organ meats. Sorry, Liver King, I know you got your deal, you got your whole shtick, and this isn't a fight on you or a hit on you at all. Bottom line is that the micronutrients and everything that we get from organ meats, we don't need to be getting every day. I am a fan of organ meats. I am a fan of liver. Trust me, I think it's hugely beneficial. I think the vitamin A is very, very important. I think the vitamin B that we get, the wide range of vitamin B. But if we look from an evolutionary standpoint, would we be eating liver every day? Nah, it's mostly the muscle meat, and then occasionally we get the organs. That's really the way it is. Is it bad? No, absolutely eat it. Heck yeah, go for it. But is it overrated? Unfortunately, yeah. You know it's underrated? Eggs. Good old inexpensive eggs. Well, they used to be inexpensive. I think they've come down a little bit, but eggs, we get choline, we get vitamin A, we get vitamin D, we get a plethora of micronutrients, we get beta carotene, we get lutein, we get zeaxanthin, we get the most abundant source of protein that we can find on the planet, as far as I know. But you know what? Eggs and veggies. Why? Because veggies give us our micronutrients. Saute some veggies into your eggs. Cook them. Get the fat-soluble vitamins. Get the water-soluble vitamins. Eggs and veggies are way underrated while we're overrating organ meats. Overrated. Don't hate me for saying this, but saturated fat. Okay, I'm not saying that saturated fat's a problem. I mean, it kind of is because unfortunately we probably consume too much of it alongside high carbs especially, basically overnutrition, overfeeding. But the reason I say it's overrated is because so many people, in an effort to be sort of different and to fight, they side with saturated fat and they make it sound like it's the best thing ever. It's kind of just benign in its normal amount. Like if you have 25% of your daily fat from saturated fat, it's really not doing anything bad, but it's not doing a ton good. I mean, it's gonna help with myelination, it helps with the brain. I couldn't really list a lot of overall quote unquote benefits of saturated fat outside of the basic stuff that we need for basic survival. So to tout it as this amazingly beneficial thing is just overrated. It's not bad, it's not unreal, it's just a little overrated, and you know it's a little overrated. But what's underrated are things like monounsaturated fats. Because unfortunately, things like olive oil, things like avocado oil, things like macadamia nut oil, these monounsaturated fats, which mind you are also in things like pork, okay, also in certain fishes. It's perfectly fine to see monounsaturated fats in meat. It's not just a plant-based thing. The thing is that they get roped into the same category as like seed oils and things like that, and people think they're bad. We're missing out on huge benefits of insulin sensitivity, huge brain benefits, huge oleic acid benefits, which is great for metabolism and fat metabolism. It's totally underrated. You know what's overrated? Seed oils being inflammatory, omega-6s being inflammatory. What? Thomas, have you completely gone the other direction from what you used to talk about? No, people just never really hear me out all the way because they get their little clips. Seed oils are not the end of the world in their own natural form. Omega-6s can be very anti-inflammatory, just as they can be pro-inflammatory. It all has to do with the arachidonic acid chain, and when it all goes down and all kind of boils down to the arachidonic acid chain, essentially you're left with something that can either be pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory, depending on A, the quantity, and B, the state of your just being. Like, are you in an inflammatory state where there's going to be used as such? So am I pro-seed oil? Actually, no, I'm not. Because here's what's underrated: the rancidity of seed oils. Everyone's so focused on seed oils being inflammatory that they forget that the big issue is that they're unstable oils and that they're used in high heat cooking and they're left out and they're rancid and they're oxidized. And that, I don't care what oil it is you're talking about, if it's rancid and oxidized, it's not good for you. That's the problem. You know what's overrated? Eating 3 meals per day. That has been debunked. I don't think 3 meals per day is what we need to do. I think we kind of entitle ourselves or enable ourselves by having 3 meals per day. You know what's underrated? Tapping into our body's stored fuel now and then. Our bodies are designed to run on fuel that comes in, but also onboard fuel. How pathetic would we be if we can't go occasional periods of time without eating? I'm not suggesting that you fast. You don't have to do that. I'm not suggesting anything other than don't be a spoiled brat with your food. Allow yourself to take a break. Don't eat 3 meals per day just because you're told that you have to or you're supposed to. It doesn't work like that. You don't need to eat 3 meals per day. It's an arbitrary number, and your body can do just fine on 1, on 2, on 10. And you know what's overrated? Is doing reaction videos on YouTube. Picking apart people's information so that you can game off their name to make a little clip. And you know what's underrated? Ingenuity. Coming up with your own content to truly help people. How about them apples? Hey, if you like these overrated, underrated style videos, leave a comment down below because I want to do more of these across different categories if you like them. See you tomorrow.